This investigation was kickstarted by me spotting this particular post on Twitter from Ghost of Goose, saying that Turkish barbers opening up everywhere, often in affluent town centres where other businesses can't afford to stay. Because, yeah, you go through a lot of town centres in the UK nowadays, and it is Turkish barbers and charity shops. You'll get some independent businesses.
Pound shops, they'll do well.
Pound shops will do all right, yep. But mainly it'll be empty Turkish barbers and charity shops. I don't mind the charity shops too much. I know some people are annoyed by them, but you can often find some good deals in there. But the Turkish barbers, a bit confusing.
How often you get your hair cut?
Not very.
Since 5 years ago.
You may have noticed that I've not had my hair cut for a little while now.
No, but a massive increase in barbers. Not many more people suddenly getting double the haircuts they used to.
I mean, you're right. But it's not like there's some kind of fungible good where you can go and you can get as many as you want.
I want another one.
You can save them for later. You don't just walk past the Turkish barbers and go, oh, I fancy a haircut. And then you come out and go, oh, I'm a bit peckish for more. I'll go to that. And then by the time you're at the end of the street, you're completely shaved clean. You've got a cue ball going on.
Would be a laugh. Like the pub crawl, but the barber crawl.
The barber crawl. It would be a laugh. But that's not how these businesses tend to work. And this Ghost of Goose points out that they do bring down the tone of an area terribly. And because, yeah, I'm sorry, they do. If you're walking around a high street, especially in a nice, lovely rural English town, and you've got some big Turkish barbers, they don't fit in with the aesthetic. It's like in Hot Fuzz. It doesn't really fit with the town's rural aesthetic, does it? It's one of those situations. And the typical response that you see to something like this is this. I do think your tweet has a hint of racism about it. More than a hint. Thank you. Thank you for your kind input, dear boomer. Please switch off your phone, go and see your grandchildren, and stay away from online discourse. Please, because you have nothing to offer but the mere bleatings of a brain-dead moron saying, oh, but you're racist, though. Oh, but you're racist. I think Dan had a good response to this by just pointing out your mentality is how 19,000 girls got raped in South Yorkshire while the authorities turned a blind eye, because people aren't just pointing out that they bring the tone down of a town. They're also talking about the cultural changes that come when inevitably you end up introducing large foreign populations into otherwise small and rural communities. It can change the atmosphere. It does change the tone, and often in a way that you don't have to be happy with. It's not racist to express a preference.
Being against money laundering is racist now.
It is. It is. Malcolm had an excellent response to this, which is, I'll treat that as not worth a full reply. So completely owned, completely destroyed. This man's facts and logic have been used to desecrate this man's grave, and he's not even dead yet.
Tweet review.
Tweet review. That's what we're in right. What we're doing right now. I just want to point out as well that a lot of people had this kind of response where they pointed out to Dan. They said, "Oh well, if that's so bad, why don't we ever hear you racists talk about this?" And it'll be a headline of, "Oh, the UK's largest grooming gang," and it's just a row of white faces. And the reason that people don't talk about these, or at least people on our side of the aisle don't, is because generally speaking, as soon as the police are made aware of these situations wherein there's no racial component or no minority component, the police go, all right, we'll look into that. They start an investigation immediately.
The law is enforced.
Yeah, and they do what they're supposed to do. Whereas with Rotherham, for instance, it was ignored for, 2 decades, purely for the sake of not wanting to appear racist. That's why we don't bring these things up, because generally, if it's white people doing the crime, the police do their job. But moving on, the reason that a lot of people are confused about the Turkish barbers and why they're popping up should be obvious, and that's because, as the Daily Mail points out here, they might be being used as bases for human trafficking, slave labor, and drugs, according to security experts. So I'll just read through a bit of this article. There's quite a bit of info to go through, so I'll try and make sure I get through it as quickly as possible while making it clear for everyone. So, security sources told the Mail on Sunday that gangs are using some businesses to conceal the proceeds of crimes, and that many could be a base for human trafficking and slave labor in the same way that nail bars and car washes have been used in the past. The explosion of barbershops in London and other major UK cities has prompted experts to call for an investigation. So, they say the cities, but it's also the towns and the villages as well. You can go to some random village that you've never heard of in the middle of nowhere. Chances are it'll have a Turkish barber in it. Some are being run by Albanian and Kurdish gangs. So they're not even Turkish, damn it. We're being lied to on so many levels.
Have you figured out where Kurdistan is yet?
Nah.
Because we had a conversation about this, and you thought it was all in Iran.
Nah.
All right. A third of it's in Turkey.
That's fair.
That's
fair. But the Albanians as well.
Yeah. You ever seen there's a lovely green text from a guy who was like, I am Turkish, but I became Christian, so Albanians would stop calling me brother.
That's fantastic. I've not seen that, actually. But anyway, so it's Albanian and Kurdish gangs suspected of making money by smuggling tens of thousands of migrants from Calais to Dover on lorries and small boats across the Channel. Former Metropolitan Police officer, and I feel like they chose this man in particular to avoid any accusations of racism, Ali Hassan Ali. We were just like, okay, we need to get this guy's opinion on it just to make sure. Said, right across high streets, we have seen a boom in barbers opening up since the pandemic. A lot of these shops have thousands of pounds of equipment, but no customers. While in some of these cases, shops will be involved in legitimate business, from my own experience, there is strong reason to believe a large number, particularly those owned by Albanians, Turks, and Kurds, have links to organized crime. This can be people smuggling and, in some cases, drugs. We know that people smuggling gangs in Calais have been traditionally operated by Kurds, but they are now working with the Albanians, presumably to smuggle across our new generation of cocaine dealers. He added, the sudden increase of barbershops is really concerning because they are playing a part in funding human trafficking and the misery that it causes. The latest data compiled by the National Hair and Beauty Federation shows that between 2014 and 2019, there was a 64% increase in the number of barbershops in the UK, from 7,958 to 13,046. So you've got, what, almost just a little over 6,000 more barbershops. Have we had almost double the need for haircuts?
Nah.
As you point out, has demand for haircuts and close shaves with a straight razor, have they really increased that much? I doubt it. This isn't a situation where supply creates demand. That's not one of those situations.
I'm going to tell a short story. I'm not
all right, go on.
Because been to a few of these before I figured it out, and then went, no.
Oh, yeah.
I found someone that's a Brazilian place.
Before you noticed the shackles on the people cutting your hair.
No, the conversations I had with the people cutting my hair, what scared me.
Oh, really?
Because a few of them were clearly illegal. Like, after talking to them, there's one guy from Syria, and I was like, how did you get here? And he just, like, told me. And I was like, oh, all right.
Oh, well, he just came straight out with it?
Yeah. There was one guy from Iraqi Kurdistan. So we started talking about his upbringing. He told me he went to a university that doesn't exist. I then asked him about, because he was telling me he was there during the rise of ISIS and them taking over a large part of Iraq. So I asked him about that period, and he told me that ISIS didn't exist, and it was all Western lies. And I was like,
okay, all right.
He's like, hey, by the way, do you want a clean shave next to your neck? No, I don't.
No, I'm all right.
I'm good, mate. I'm not going to lie. Maybe that's wrong of me to think that maybe the chap who defends ISIS might be a guy I don't want with a raisin in my neck.
You know, while I could just call you racist, and I'm sure if dear old Malcolm were here, he would call you racist.
Well, I've got a bar recommendation for him.
I can say that, you're alive.
Yeah.
So it turns out it was a good decision. Because otherwise, you might not have been. Not to say that everyone offering you a close shave with a straight razor is going to cut your neck, but generally,
defends ISIS.
If he's defending ISIS, maybe think twice. At the same time, let's carry on with the information in this article. The more upmarket hair salons have shown an increase of 21% from almost 14,000 to almost 17,000 from 2014 to 2019. According to the National Hair and Beauty Federation, there are over 46,000 hair and beauty businesses in the UK, with 3/4 of these employing fewer than 5 people. Last year, for a definitive example of one of these barbershops that has just been the front for a criminal organization. Let's just see this. An investigation by the National Crime Agency found that Gulwali Jaberkal, who was 33, was using his barbershop in Colindale, North London, as a front for organized crime.
Really?
I know, big shock here, big shock. The Afghan was trying to recruit lorry drivers to bring migrants from northern France and Belgium into the UK, offering around £2,500 per person smuggled.
It's really weird, isn't it?
That's a lot of money. I'm sure he was
in the Turkish barbers, though. There's quite a lot of turnover.
I have noticed that. Generally, for the amount of staff that they have and the amount of staff that they turn over and the lack of customers, you've got to think, these staff members aren't doing their job right, are they? That must be it. Has to be it. The close shaves they're giving people, terrible. The few haircuts, you're driving customers away, lad. We're going to have to bring someone in. And it's just the same problem over and over and over again.
Can't get the staff anymore.
Yeah, just can't rely on good people.
From northern France.
Yeah. He was arrested at his barbershop and last April was jailed for 10 years. I mean, longer than that, please. He's trying to sneak in illegal people into the country and sneak them into literal slavery situations.
Deport, please.
Or, yeah,
Take him to Taliban, please. I think
deport as well. Either jail him forever or deport him out of the country. Because 10 years from now, well, actually, probably 5 years from now, when he gets out, he will just try and do the same thing again. And the British security services will be shocked. There'll be surprised Pikachu face at the side. No one saw this one coming. 3 other associates of his received shorter sentences. The NCA recently warned that the amount of criminal cash leaving the UK has risen exponentially over the past 4 years, driven by Albanian drug gangs sending money home. Organised crime syndicates from the Balkan state have almost taken over the UK's cocaine market, while Turkish gangs have traditionally dominated the heroin supply. So we can't even get native drug dealers anymore. Terrible shame. I thought we voted Brexit for better than this. Trusted